Welcome to Jollof and Fiction, home of African literature and stories, the kind that warm your heart like a fresh pot of jollof. Today, you're tuning into a recorded session of our online book discussion, so sit back, relax, and join the conversation.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Barnabas, and I'm your host for tonight. I'm actually excited about today's review because the book is a special one for me. At any point you can't hear me, please indicate with thumbs down, and then I'll either repeat what I said or try to switch networks. Thank you very much. All right, so our theme book for tonight is Tomorrow Died Yesterday by Chimeka Garricks. And quickly before I fall into our discussion, I'd just like to do an overview of the book and the author. The author of the book is Chimeka Garricks, and Chimeka Garricks was born in Dublin, Ireland, but he was raised in Port Harcourt. He's the author of the book The Broken People's Playlist, collection of short stories. And that was actually the first of his books I came across some years back. And he's a lawyer. According to him, I'm quoting what he said, he would rather be a DJ, but lawyering and writing has taken most of his time. Yeah. He lives with his wife and 3 children in Lagos. So for some of you ladies that were hoping he was single, he actually has a wife and 3 children. All right. About the book is set in Asiama. Asiama is not a real place. It's actually a fictional village. But as much as the book describes the geography, the local politics, and landmarks of Rivers State, so in a way you might think that it's an actual village in Rivers State, but Asiama is a fictional place. So the story frequently moves between the fictional village of Asiama and the real city of Port Harcourt. That's why it almost feels very real. Another point is that some of the events in the book are fictionalized accounts of real historical events in Niger Delta. So some of the things you read that they actually happened, but parallel to what was described. For instance, the village raid by soldiers in Asiama, which led to the death of Doye's father and other losses. Something like that actually happened in history, and it was in 1999 in Bayelsa. And there was another one that happened during the time of Ken Saro-Wiwa. I hope I pronounced it correctly. In November, the one that is almost similar to what was described as Asiama is the one that happened in Bayelsa, November 1999. The Nigerian Armed Forces attacked a village, Odi, in Bayelsa, following the killing of 12 policemen by local militants. And according to history, the town was almost wiped out. Hundreds of civilians were killed there. So the author was actually drawing fictional, making some of these historical events into his story. So before I read out the questions, I'll wrap up with a note by the author himself as regards the book. Some of you have read to the end, probably had read it. He said, I was fed up with the fact that the only voices of the people of the Niger Delta was either the political class or the self-styled militants. 2 equally appalling choices in my view. I was also tired of the hypocrisy of the people of the Niger Delta, my people who are the real victims, but have refused to take the lead responsibility for their own roles in the calamity that has befallen them. Now, before we comment, I'd just like to hear everyone's overview of the book. What was your impression of the book? Even if you started and you've not finished, and if you finished, I just want to hear what you thought of the book or what you think of the story so far. I'll read one of the comments that was left on the Google Form I sent. This book, my goodness gracious, I love it, anonymously. So let's begin. I expect everybody's hands to be raised because apparently everybody was supposed to read the book. So what was your general overview of the book? What do you think? I'm waiting. I start calling names. So I'm seeing Ini Brown, I'm seeing Alfred, I'm seeing Chiamaka, seeing Nebo, I'm seeing Divine. So no one wants to speak first. Nobody's talking. I said, okay, if you want me to call names, no problem then. Ini Brown, please kindly tell me, you're the first name. Okay, Ini Brown. Alfred. Let me start with Ini Brown. Alfred, just start getting ready. Ini Brown, what was your general overview of the book? What was your thought on the book? Like, even if you're not done, what do you think so far? Since you refuse to talk, I'll just be calling you guys.
Okay. Can you hear?
Yeah, but you're not too loud. I don't know if it's from my end. Is it just me?
Let me try. From where? Is it clear now?
Yeah. Go ahead and speak. But I'm not.
Is it clear now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you.
Okay. So, my thought about this book is just trauma. Trauma. This book was traumatic to me. Why do you hate this? Why? It's not why. But it's a really good book. Let me start by saying that it's an excellent, it's the kind of book I'm looking for. Great story, excellent book. Just not going to allow me sleep properly tonight because it's just this night that things. Yes. And those are my thoughts. Come on.
Thank you very much, Libra. I think I like this kind of book. I prefer this to any romance novel, actually. Like, I like the fact that it keeps me on the edge. And then I'm like, after I read the book, I'm now trying to recover. Like, so what do I do with my life after now? Those are the kind of books I like. Mary, Cynthia, let me hear from you. Thank you very much, Nick Brown. I appreciate it.
Okay, good evening, guys. First of all, I feel like the book was like a roller coaster. It took me through a lot of emotions. I'm not even going to lie. Then, on the other hand, I'm coming from the angle of like a Christian. I think I highlighted a couple of things that actually stood out to me. It was like there are parts that this man, after that first hearing that, what's his name, proves to them that DSP was lying. Do you understand? When Asiama was going back to the Black Maria, that he said something to him that if he can forgive him that he's doing the things to, then who is he not to forgive him? Like, I don't know. This book took me through a whole lot of emotions. Like, it made me start looking at a lot of things differently because Asiama did not have any rights. Like, he did not have to forgive that man, as he's very human.
It's Amiabi. Asiama, the village. Amiabi is who you're referring to. The one who's
sorry. Yes, Amiabi. He did not have to if he spent the rest of his life resenting that man. Like, it was very, 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 very okay for me. I felt like, because guy, do you understand? This is your friend. His father was who made you who you are, and then because of your own, you're trying to protect yourself, like out of here too. I feel like you're just like throwing him under the bus like that. You don't even want to see like the things that actually happen that can actually exonerate him, and you know that he's actually innocent. So like, I feel like the book took me through a whole lot of emotions, make me start to see things differently too, and also maybe start to maybe at some point forgiveness, just like this other girl now, Diolu now, like it gave me like Diolu's character in that book. Like, I was like, it was what these people needed. Like, God knew that they needed somebody that would keep reminding them, and He gave them to them. So for me, I feel like the book was a whole lot of emotions. Maybe remember God's love, and then like it was a roller coaster. I'm not going to lie.
Okay, thank you very much. I get what you mean. You can also feel free to mention your favorite character as well when you're giving the overview. For me, I like Tubo's sense of humor. Aside the fact that I didn't really like the things, but the guy's sense of humor is unmatched. I'm telling you. Anybody else relate to this? Tubo, the one with 1.5 leg, his sense of humor was not. I don't think anybody could match it. The part that made me laugh was there's this part where he asked the nurse, after he's amputated, will you give him back the leg that has been cut? I was like, stop, no, God. All right, so let me hear from Light. After Light, Inyebon. I think Inyebon raised the hand first. I'll hear from Inyebon, then Light.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My thoughts on the book is that it's really intriguing. If it was a Nigerian movie or any movie at all, I would watch it. My eyes will be glued to the screen, as it is glued to the book. I haven't gone far because of schoolwork, but so far it has been really interesting. I haven't really reached any tragedy points aside from when Amabi went to prison, which I got confused because he was a mediator, and why didn't Imperial Oil help him to clear his name? So I haven't reached that part yet. I don't know anything yet. These are just my thoughts. And my favorite character is Kanye. He's just funny, cool. I just love him. Okay. Thank you. These are my thoughts. I really like the book. I really love it.
This man, everybody likes Kanye. After Kanye's Tubo, but I just chose to mention Tubo because I think, like I said, I love his sense of humor. And since you've not really gone far, so you might not really understand why he's in prison, maybe he's in prison. Don't worry, when you start reading, you would understand why he was in prison. Let me hear from Light, and then I'll proceed to the next question.
Okay, so hi everybody. It's morning, afternoon. I want to be certain what I'm answering, just on general thoughts, right?
Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you exactly. Well, it seems you're very far from your phone. I don't know. We can't hear you clearly.
Okay, give me a second. Is it better now?
Yeah, clearer now. God, I can hear you so clearly now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I
okay,
can.
Thank you. Okay. All right. So let me start by saying that this will be the fifth time I'm reading this book. And with every rereading of the book, I see things that I think I missed the first time. And I think it's kudos to the writer for his dexterity and ability to tell stories so well. I think one of the things that has stood out for me is the fact that these stories are real life stories. Yes, it's fictional, but I mean, like you said rightly, there are many parallels that can be drawn to everyday life situations. And I think it was also really, close to home for me because I grew up in Port Harcourt. So some of the streets they called Emekuku, D-Line, there are places that I know you get. That's on the one hand. And on the other, I think I love the way he tells his stories. I took my time I think one of my favorite characters in this book will be Catkiss Akasa, because I don't want to say he didn't have to, but there's something about people who not just claim to be something, but embody it that forces you to, look inward yourself. So for the children in his community, he didn't just preach at them or talk down on them. He was actually a father to all of them. And I think it was Kanye, when he was talking to Tubo, that highlighted to him that, it's not just, you can say that you didn't want to help this dude for your personal gain, but you cannot say he's not worth it. I think there was a line like that. And it stuck with me so much because some people claim to be Christian. And I think that was one of the things the book went out of its way to say, and it stayed with me. We can claim to be anything, right? You can claim to be a kind person, but the true test of your kindness is when there are situations that are not so cool, I think. I really love the book. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that input. And yes, the book showed us that the true test of your kindness is in times when it's not convenient, when your life, practically, literally, their lives were at stake at some point, but they still had to uphold their values. Thank you very much, Lai. That was very, very insightful. So now proceeding to the next question. Now there's this thing where people's destiny is set by their environment. There's this concept that your environment determines your destiny. And then there's another free agency where they feel like man is a free moral agent. He makes his choices regardless of his destiny, his environment rather. So now the author presents characters who are technically successful in a way. A militant leader who's a lawyer, an all executive and a lecturer. Does this their success actually grant them free agency, or the same. We're simply playing different roles. Let me explain. You know how they say if you're rich, you don't have choices, you don't have options. And we noticed that these guys were successful. So can we say that as much as they came from a background that sort of puts them in shackles and define who they were going to be, even when they got riches, did that wealth or did that success define who they become? Or let me paste the question, but let me continue reading. Does their success is actually grant them free will, or are they simply playing different roles within the same exploitative slave system? Can a man truly be a free moral agent if his only choices are to be oppressed or be the oppressor? I just hope you understand my point. But here's the whole point of the question is they basically did not have much options while growing up. They were either going to be part of the people squandering the money or part of the people who were on the losing side. So they really know there was no middle ground. You get? But these guys were successful. I will just have to paste the question here because it's long, so I don't stretch over. But if you understand the question, just kindly raise your hand and speak. Give me a second. Let me paste it in the chat box. Okay, there. It's in the chat box. So this goes ahead to show that one, your environment can determine the kind of person you are. Secondly, regardless of your environment, you have choices. You make choices, and we see that for the most part of their lives, their environment define who they became, who they desire to be. At some point, Doye wanted to be a soldier because from where he was poor, some other things. But then we realized that they came to a place where they were wealthy, but still they seemed to be victims of their environment. So the question now is, can a man truly be free agent if his only choices are to be the oppressed or the oppressor? Yeah, so that's basically it. If anyone can speak. Yeah, let's go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, so I get the question. And I'm thinking about this way. So, are those the only two options? Are we working in a world where those are the only two options? Be the oppressor or be the oppressed?
Practically, that's why I'm asking, because from the story it seems that's the only option. You are either part of the corruption or you're the one being robbed. That's how it was at the time, and the question is now: is it possible to break free from that? And what's the middle ground? Because in the story, it seems there was no middle ground. Either you were being robbed or you are the corrupt one.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't think, in a world where those are the only two options, I don't think that there is much agency around it. Sitting on the fence is a choice, and it's not much of a choice because you're still part of the victims at the end of the day. So I don't know if citing someone like the catechist will help here, because I'm thinking about it like, if the only option is to be the oppressor or the oppressed, somebody like Sir James JFK, what was he in this story? Was he the oppressor or the oppressed? Because I'm trying to wrap my head around your question, and I'm not sure I'm able to put it in a way that makes a lot of sense to me. I don't think there's much agency here. You pick a side and fight for it. I think somebody like Tuba would argue that he wasn't given a lot of choices or chances in his life, so he had to roll with people who, he just had to be on the winning side. So if humor was one of the tools he used to get by, it was so that nobody would knock him down. And then as he progressed in life, almost all his choices were in order to make sure that he did not come up with he did not draw a short straw. That's what Tuba. And I can pick person after person after person who had to pick a side. So I think if those are the only options, there's not much agency. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah. It did actually. But my concern, like, it did answer the question. But my concern was like, the author only portrayed two sides of the coin. And then I thought about it in relation to where we are now as a country. You get? You're either the one complaining about the economy or you're the one siphoning money. Because I thought about it too in actual sense. So like, okay, we are Nigerians. Are we being oppressed? Are we the oppressors. So it's not just two options. You're either there or there. And now I'm thinking, can we discuss about this? Let's know, is there a middle ground? Where do we stand? But now you mentioned the cat case. I think he was sort of not among any of the category. He was neither the oppressed nor the oppressor. From what you just mentioned, I think he was the only character that was in the middle ground. I don't know anybody else. Nobody so far comes to mind. It was just him. Even Sir J.F. Kennedy, at some point, he was corrupt, I think. Okay, so,
He was not exactly the same, but in matters that concern the welfare of their community, he was very, outspoken about what he thought was right. But then again, for looking at the fact that he left Eno and child and then brought another lady after a while, it wasn't much of a sense at the end of the day. So,
thank you so much, Light. In the Brown, let's hear from you. Thank you, Light, for your input.
If these are the two options, if I'm left with this binary option, I choose the option I currently engage in right now, which is the third option, to not engage. For me, both choices are just horrible choices, so I choose not to engage. I can relate that to Nigeria, where I'm like, what's the point if the choice is being corrupt? It's either to be corrupt or to be a victim. Then I choose neither. I choose to disengage. And I feel like we have at least that much agency. I feel like any one of those characters at some point could have said, you know what? It's okay. Let me draw the line here. Tubo at some point had made enough money that he could have said, I'm done with this bunkery, this whole imperial oil thing. I can bounce, I can go to another place. In fact, come to think about it, Kanye is a perfect example of this. Up until when his friend was in prison, he wasn't engaged. He was just doing his thing in his mom's place. His dad gave him a choice. No, try and come and be a lawyer. I was like, nah, man, I'm just going to do my own thing. And for a long time, he was doing his own thing. So for majority of the story, up until when his friend was in an issue and he had to get back and had to fight. Otherwise, for most of the story, my guy wasn't involved. So I feel like people use this framework of oppressed or oppressor as an excuse to do horrible things. That's how I feel. So, and I don't think that it's true. I think at any point, well, except if you are under captivity or something like that, but to a large extent, there's still an avenue of a third choice. That's how I feel.
Thank you very much, Inni Brown. That's very profound. You mentioned Kanye, and I remember that court case, the last part where Kanye was begging Amaibi to lie. And this just say you were not aware, but Kanye, Amaibi stood by his brother. Like, I just remember it now because you mentioned that at some point they had choices to choose the middle ground, actually. And then I remember I might be in the courtroom when Kanye told him, all you have to do is just lie. That little lie. But I might be refused and decided to stick with the truth. I think at that point, that was where he decided he was also tired of the game, either being oppressed or being the oppressor. Thank you so much for the input. Now, I just want to ask, a lot of us have read it. For those who have read the book, which of the characters do you think is the best example of someone? Okay, some of you already answered this question. Which of the characters do you think is an example of someone trying to be a free agent? We already mentioned that Kanye at some point could break free and do his own thing, and then towards the end, Amaibi at some point also decided. Now, the third question was the question I was dropped in the Google form. What do you think of childhood friendship and the role it plays on you as an adult when you are grown? What do you think of childhood friendship and the role it plays on you as an adult when you are grown? Please do feel free to speak if you have anything to say, and I'll let you speak. What do you think of childhood friendship and the role it plays on you as an adult when you're grown? That's in contrast with the MIB, Doughboy, Kanye, and Tubo. they had been friends from childhood. I have something to share about on this, but I want to hear from someone. The question is in the chat box. Let me look for someone's name now who has not spoken. I've not heard from Taylor since we started. Tahila. Light, is your hand raised? Hello, Light, can you hear me? Your hand is raised. Do you want to speak? Am I audible? Please tell me you can hear me, please. Okay, so I'm asking a question for those who have read. I think this question is general, whether or not you've read the book. What do you think of childhood friendship and the role it plays on you as an adult when you're grown? And I think this is in reference to the relationship the four of them had as children and how it went on to adulthood. But this is my opinion. I think as a child, the influence is not so strong because at that time, people really don't even know what you're doing. But at your early teens, that's where the influence is a lot more stronger because those are your formative years. Part of who we are today is based on the influence of our friends. And sometimes, even when you might not even realize the things you like now, you only like them because your friend some time back liked it and then influenced you. I, for example, am one of them. I believe that there would be no Jollof and fiction if my friend in SS3 had not gifted me a book, Sherlock Holmes. That was the first novel I read. I had not even been reading as a child, but I think I remember vividly in 15 when SS3, and I would hear him speak. He was so knowledgeable about so many things. And then I would ask him, okay, how did you know this? So I read it in a novel. Before then, I didn't even know that someone could read and be that knowledgeable from just reading novels. And so he gifted me that novel. And that's what started my whole journey. After I read it, I just wanted to read more and more and more and more. And several years down the line, here I am, book club, a book community. So I believe that the influence is only stronger as during your formative years as a teenager. But as a child, all of it, people don't even know what you are doing at that time. People are just playing with sand. That's my opinion. But if anyone has anything different to say, I'm open. I'd like to hear it. So I think at this point I'll just call you to speak. Jessica, then I would love to hear from Inyebong. Jessica, you can speak, and unmute yourself and speak. Sorry, please, am I audible? I don't know if I'm audible. As I'm speaking, nobody's answering.
You are.
Okay, so please, why is everyone quiet? Let me understand. Is it just 4 people that finished this book? Because everyone is quiet, and I presume that if you're quiet, it means you've not read the book. It's quite very funny that it's just 4 people that have finished the book. Neighbor, I'm listening. I don't know. I'm waiting for you.
So to answer the question, the effect of childhood friendships, I would say, like you said, I don't think there is a lot at the time because, okay, personally, I don't have not even one childhood friend that I'm still in contact with. And while there might have been some influence, I don't think it's anything that I've actually taken note of yet. But the friendships that have actually had effect on me are the ones that I started making in junior secondary school up until now. But before then, I even hardly remember. So, and I've actually finished the book.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a question I was dropped in the anonymous link. Got to read it out. Okay, Inibra wants to speak, and after Inibra, Mary Cynthia, please go ahead. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Based on my own experience, I cannot remember any friend that had any influence on me before secondary school. But I remember very vividly the impact that Toby had on me in GS2 up until now. I remember the impact my friends, Nina, Joshua, half of had of me, and I met them SS3. So to answer your question, childhood friendships, I don't, except if you have a childhood friendship that extends into like your early teens, late teens. Otherwise, I don't think they hold that much of an impact. But definitely your teenage years, when your brain begins to recognize things, and I think those are the friendships that make the most difference.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you totally.
Okay, hi
Right, let's
everybody.
hear from you.
Okay.
Your hand was raised, I think.
I think that childhood friendships, I'm trying to look at the question, so that um, when you're a child, you don't really know yourself. So you're growing into yourself. And for many childhood friendships, they grow up, they change. And if they are not around the same people they used to be around, say, let's take me for instance, I grew up in Port Harcourt with my friends, and I went secondary school outside River State. I later returned. And then after that, I went to uni elsewhere. From uni, I'm serving elsewhere, and life has gone from there. So if I'm going to see my childhood friends now, I'm going to see them once in a while. And for the most part, we're strangers to each other. So I do not think that we know ourselves that much. So what it means is whenever we meet, we're trying to get to know ourselves again. Maybe find out if we still share the same values, if we're still the same kind of people. Of course, there are some of my friends who are going to be my friends forever because we still relate to each other once in a while. But then again, there are still some people who, when we meet, I discover that the core of who we used to be together has changed. And that is how it's going to be. So I think that if somebody asks me what I think of childhood friendships and how they affect me as an adult, I'll say that for the most part, we'll just be strangers, unless we're family, right? We'll just be strangers trying to get to know each other again, unless, of course, we've continued to communicate over the years. That's what I think. On the one hand, I don't know if this answers the question at all.
Yeah, it does. I believe the question was asked based on the relationship that the four friends had on themselves as children. I think the first time we ever get to hear about their childhood story, they were 8. I think apparently all of them had the same way in the same age gap, 8, 9. So I believe whoever asked the question was asking if at that level some of them had influenced the other. But I Tubu had always been a bad influence, right? From a young age. But in the end, I don't think he had that much influence on them because they grew apart. Some of them might be traveled outside the country. All of them grew apart. I would even say that their environment had more influence on them as children than their childhood friendship, as it turned out to be. Thank you. Lambert raised a hand. Let me hear from you, Lambert. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, can you hear me clear enough? Sometimes I get the reports that my voice is low.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I think we underestimate how much we want to impress our friends. I think we underestimate how much we live up to their approval. Subconsciously, sometimes you just want to show this off to your friends. You want to belong with your friends, even without realizing that you are mirroring their views and their perspective, their desire. Subconsciously, we do it a lot. So I think that childhood friends that linger on into teenagehood and even adults has a lot of influence on us. But external influence or friendship influence is just as powerful as personal and environmental. So it all depends on the one that superseded in your life, because the influence that your friends have on you is just as strong as your own personal will or choice, and it is just as strong as your predominant environment. So it depends on the one you tilt towards the most. So someone can grow up with absolutely good guys and turn out an absolute criminal. Someone can grow up with criminals that smoke heavily and he doesn't smoke. So at the end of the day, each of the will is a dominant gene, each of the things that can influence you in your life, all of them is a dominant gene. So it depends on the one you tilt towards the most. So childhood friendship has every single capacity to influence you and affect you, and you also have just an equal potency of capacity to either reject or refuse or to bend to it. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, Taylor, to be clear, I just want to know whether when you say childhood, is there an age gap in mind or something? Because I'm using myself as an instance now. Like I was not really conscious of my friends during that. I think from 4 to 8, even to 10. I think even to 12. So I just want to know so I can better understand
Yes, childhood that lingered on to teenagehood and adulthood. That didn't just stop at childhood.
Okay, I think I understand now. Because when you said, I was like, okay, because from 4 to 10, you're basically really not conscious of the things you are doing. I understand your point now. Thank you very much. So I don't know whose hands was raised, but let me go on to the next question. I'll paste it in the chat box now. And the question opens with a statement by Sir JFK, who apparently is the father of Kanye and Disse. So he said something and he was referring to Disse. He was speaking to Kanye, but he was referring to Disse. Let me paste the question so you would know. That's one part. Yeah, it's in the chat box. But I'll read it here. I quote Sir JFK. Your sister, the silly child, she should never have married the deluded radical in the first place. That's referring to MIB. There are no radicals in Nigeria, only madmen and martyrs. This particular scene was where Kanye went to tell his dad, Sir JFK, that he wants to defend MIB. JFK was saying that MIB is a deluded radical, something like that. And he mentioned something that there are no radicals in Nigeria, only madmen and martyrs. And then it hit me like we're in a country where certain forms of activism are resisted or you can land in jail for it. So that where does that put us now as young people who want to stand up for something, for a cause? And let me just share this. I was sent to a certain state. Okay, I don't want to mention the state since I know this call is recorded and will be posted online. So I was in a certain state in the north and then North Central actually. So as I was leaving, my mom was now sending me message on WhatsApp and said, I know how outspoken you can be. That place you're going to, if nobody agrees with your opinion, please just keep quiet. She was just telling me things like that, etc., etc. And in her mind, she's like, this boy should not go and start a revolution, something like that. And because of how things like that turn out in this country. So we are young people, want to stand for something, want to live for something. Where does that put us now? Where you are in a country where we can't push for something, we can't stand for something, either land in jail or you're killed. Let me hear from you, Taylor. Go ahead.
I'm so glad you asked this question because when he said that, it totally hit me. I was like, damn, he's right. He's so right. Look around you. There are no radicals. Every single radical is dead. You're either dead or you're broken. Your spirit is broken. Look at the assumed leader of the IPOP. It seemed almost as if the game is rigged from the very beginning. And the only change that is allowed is change towards the bad guys, change towards the cabals, the powers that be. And any change that tries to bend against the rules will be broken to pieces. It hit me so much. And I was like, what is going on here? Because when you ponder on it, it makes the future seem so bleak and hopeless. Because you just know that if you push towards this, you are going to end up like. So I think I'm asking the same question as well. Like, where does that leave us as young people? When he said this, I was like, he's so true, he's so correct, and it's just so unfair. That can change truly actually happen.
Well. I think that's what I think we had this argument one time in the group where Abdul was telling me to go and vote. I told him I don't want to vote again. Just because I'm like, what can we do? Do you understand? If you want to stand for something, there is a body somewhere coming against you. Do you understand? And like, so now as young people, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to just keep quiet? Do you understand? See, I don't want to say, but there's how this matter, you just get tired of it. So I'm asking now to anybody who has any idea, what can we now do? We are talking about reformation. How do we push this reformation? We are looking at this, the laws, how do we change it? Do you understand? What form of activism is in this country. Just help me, help a brother. Let me say, Ini Brown, you can speak. Then after Ini Brown, Inyebong and Mukut. Ini Brown, please go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. Okay. So the first thing that we must identify is this. That statement he made, he makes it look like, oh, in this country, that's okay. This scenario is peculiar to. It's not. That's the first thing we need to identify. It's always hopeless. It's always hopeless. The situation is always hopeless. What is required is that we push for the reform. You basically have to do that in Bible talks about when you hope against hope. Okay, push for the reform, even though it's hopeless. It's always hopeless. I read stories of slavery. Especially the slavery part, because like I'm very invested into American politics. I follow it closely. So if you read the stories of slavery, it's the same thing. It's always hopeless. There is no hope. The system is always rigged against you. It's always rigged against you. You continue in spite of it. You go against it. And eventually more people join you. More people join you. The people who are against you, the people who are keeping the system that way, know that the most powerful thing they have is the hopelessness. Because hope is a very dangerous thing. Hope is a very dangerous thing. We watch these things in movies and we don't catch the message. Don't you remember the Hunger Games? That song that she sings, Are you coming to the tree? I wore a necklace of hope and I stood side by side with me. That is the call. They know. When she was singing that song in the movie, the people in charge of the country, they shut down the television. They shut down the television. They want people to hear that song. Why? Hope is a dangerous thing. If you keep the hope in spite of a hopeless situation, people begin to gather, people begin to join, people begin to gather. So it's always hopeless. That's the first thing we need to address. It is always hopeless. The situation is always like this. No difference. Well, special at all. A success story of a revolution head is the same story. It's always you stay with the hope. People begin to join you. And at some point, you hold the power. So that's just it. Thank you.
Wow, really powerful. This is powerful. One of the things you said that really stood out to me is the fact that you say those in power, their weapon is your hopelessness. That struck me so much. God have mercy. That was a lot, Ini Brown. Thank you so much. If I could double applause, I would do it right now. Thank you. That was really, really profound and inspiring too as well. You should run for presidency one of these days. Thank you so much, Ini Brown. And yeah, I've watched the Hunger Games. I understand what you mean when you talked about that scene. Thank you so much, Ini Brown. I just hope this call was recorded. I'd love to listen to this over and over again. Thank you so much. Inyebong, you can speak after that. Please go ahead.
Okay. So I concur with Ini Brown. The situation in the country is hopeless. However, let's be real here. How many Nigerians are going to come out in spite of that hopelessness? They know that, nothing we can do. This government feeds kill us, so feeds. How many Nigerians will come out? You've seen the consequences in 2020 answers, of which I was not physically there, but I was in support of them. And then it was that day I watched the live stream of when the Nigerian soldiers shot them. So it was really devastating. I feel as if that contributed to a lot of apathy towards politics and towards the state of Nigeria. That is why people are not really invested in politics again. However, I've been noticing on Twitter that people have been coming out to protest this electoral bill. I don't know the bill, but I just know that people were protesting it in Abuja, despite them signing it, the government signing it. So maybe there is hope for this country. I personally believe there's no hope for this country. Sorry to be a Debbie Downer, but I don't know, man. See, you can fight for this country and then Nigerians will backstab you. Make we see for 2027 election, Sha. That's all I want to see. Thank you.
She said you can fight for this country and some people will still backstab you. And God, I think there's this one that struck me the most. Police were protesting. I think that you probably saw it on the news. The Nigerian police force were protesting that they should increase their salary. Another police force were called. Couple of them, they were called to now fight. I think to stop. I can't remember what happened, but there was a clash. So one side of the police force, they are pushing for increase in salary. The other ones were now called to stop them. I'm like, who? These are members of the same body fighting themselves. Do you understand? The other group, they are outside saying their salaries must be increased. The other ones were now hired to stop those who are saying their salary must be increased. And I'm like, what is going on? Do you understand? Are you seeing the divide? So when your neighbor said that you can be fighting for this country and these same Nigerians who also fight against you. All right, who wants to speak? Mokutia, go ahead and speak. Then we'll go over to the next question.
Hello, boys and girls. Hello, all. Good evening, guys. Okay, I'm not going to waste anybody's time. So, for the past 2 weeks in church, our Sunday school teaching has been on Christians in politics. And you guys, I feel like this is such a very pivotal moment for us, especially when like churches are advising you as a Christian to make yourself, present politically in the political scene. And what we've been taught is that as much as especially Nigerian politics and Nigerian political scene expects you to conform to very many things and very many beliefs, because we know how it is and how many of your core values will be tested. It's best that if you know, this is why individualistic understanding is very, very important, because you must understand yourself before you can properly engage in politics, especially as a believer. And when I mean believer, I mean a believer in whatever, Muslim or Christian or pagan or whatever, Buddhist. You must understand your own individuality before you engage in, because it is when you understand your own individualism, your own individualistic nature, your core values, that you'll be able to resist all of this. Notwithstanding, they might kill you, but then again, the resistance, if one person can resist and it's another person sees that, okay, this person resisted and this amount of change was seen. If 5 of us resist, maybe we could have 10 kilometers of change. Do you understand? That's what we've been taught, that it is very, very important that we must not relent in in playing our roles politically, that political apathy, because the Bible even tells us that, sorry guys, I'm very sorry, the Bible even says that we should be involved in where we are, including praying for where we are, and also being involved in where we are, where we find ourselves, wherever we find ourselves, because even the children of Israel in captivity worked for and in the nation that they found themselves. Thanks, guys. So regardless of how Nigerian political landscape feels today, I don't think that we should relent from voting. Go early, cast your vote, and go home.
Thank you so much, Mokut. Mokut for vice president. Ini Brown for president and Mokut for vice president. Thank you so much. And by the way, Mokut, I've missed you. It's been a very long time I heard your voice in review. I hope you are back fully. Okay. All right. So this last. Sorry, you're saying, are you back fully? You're back.
I went on holiday. I'm not back. I went on holiday. I'm enjoying my holiday. Thanks.
My hands are up.
Oh, yeah, Taylor, please go ahead and speak. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. That's very short. Just in further agreeing with what Amy said. If we actually look think about it, all through history, there have been times of change. So as despondent and absolutely full of despair that the weather may be, it has been proven time and again that in various points of history, in the heat of apartheid, in the heat of genocide, in the apex of racism, in the absolute peak of brutality, there have been change. It's recorded in history. There have been times when evil was trampled. There have been times when dictators were slain and their mantras subsided. So it actually proves that if there are enough stubborn men, anything can change. So yes, again, Nini for president. I was absolutely inspired by what he said.
Neil Brown, it seems you're the man of the match. Well done. All right, so this last one is something I just noted. Comments from the book. Someone said it. I think was it Kanye or Doye? Someone said, let me paste it here. Just give me a minute. It's actually very funny. Good. Hey, I can't find it on my notes, so just give me a few minutes. Archive. All right. Anyway, I can't find it, but it's that part where I can't remember who was speaking, but okay, I found it on my notes. Sorry. Thank you very much. I found it. It's not actually a question, it's just a remark I have. I found it very funny and I thought to share it as well. Typing it in the chat box now currently. Yeah, it's on the chat box now. Nobody kidnaps the Lebanese though. I shook my head and made a bitter face. They are more Nigerian than we are and probably wouldn't fetch 50,000. They are not worth the trouble. And it was quite funny because we are all preaching about social integration, and the Lebanese, they have so integrated with Nigerians that their status of protection is almost like the average Nigerian. It just crossed my mind too as well when I saw that part where they said a Lebanese is more Nigerian than a Nigerian. I thought you share it though. It's not like it's a question, it just crossed my mind. And then someone dropped a comment in the Google form that Tubo probably knew that the soldiers were going to raid the village that day, and that's probably why he didn't show up. And I thought, the author actually did not give more information on that, but it's beyond when the soldiers are raiding, especially when they came to celebrate. It was to celebrate. Okay, yeah, it was for the burial. I think a burial ceremony of the priest, one of the priests that was with them, and Tubo was not there. And that was when the soldiers raided the village. So my guess is that he either knew that they were coming, and that's why he did not come. It just crossed my mind too. And Olivia said he knew. It's possible he knew. Tubo would do anything to save himself. Okay, Judy said Tubo would do anything to save himself. He knew. All right. So we've come to the end of this review. If you have anything to say, any quote you found very funny, you just let me know. And by the way, I found the relationship of Diola and Kanye very interesting. This book, I was like looking forward to their scene. Diola and Kanye, I love them. I also love Disa and Amaibi. I love how they were able to transition from that trauma into what it was at the end. I mentioned it already. I love Tubo's sense of humor. Anyway, I still love Kanye. I love Kanye. I also love the cut scene. Kanye showed them, gave it to them back to back. And I like this. Another part I like, yeah. And Kanye had to pretend as if they didn't know what was going on. Kanye produced the receipt. Guys, if you've not read this book, you gotta read this book. I'll hawk this book for the rest of this week. Let me hear from everybody before I call it the night. Light after light, Izora, then Inyebong, Mokut. Light, go ahead and speak.
Thank you. I love it. That I jotted them, wrote them down. I'm not on my notes now, so I cannot go through all of them. But there are two things I'd like to say before I let other people speak. First of all, nobody said anything about Doughboy. I think that, and I just remembered. So I think that terrorism that how do I put it now? I think that if we keep quiet as well when people do nasty things to others, because we do not support the people they are doing it against, we'll be hurting ourselves. And I'm saying this because in the beginning it was white men that were being kidnapped. And it's because of the Lebanese people you talked about that I remembered, because it occurred to me while I was reading. Because it's a mirror of our society. Yeah? If we have a chance to speak up when people around us, I'm not talking about strangers now, are being hurtful to other people, and just because the people they are doing this thing to are people we don't like, tomorrow it will be our turn. So after the white people have gone, the next set of people are rich people. And when they are no longer rich people in the general location where they are, they start picking on weak people or any people or some people. And then I know you like to boast sense of humor, but I think he was my worst character in this book. I can't lie. I was so angry that Amaibi and Doughboy, and not even Doughboy now. I was so angry that Amaibi and Kanye and everybody forgave him. I was like, why are people forgiving this man? Like, oh God. I was really not happy with him because I felt like he knew about the killings that happened on the day they were doing the memorial for the father. And I was so angry that it cost a cat case his side. And I think that's where I'll stop. Thank you.
Yeah, I get so as well. I was also sad that my best father lost his side. Doye's father was killed. And when I read that part, I didn't blame Doye at all for what he became. Do you understand? His anger now, my anger was now justified. But I know that in the end we had to forgive. But after what happened that day by the soldiers, and I think that's another thing we wanted to discuss. The way the Nigerian army, the soldiers are being portrayed in stories, not just in Taylor was talking about. You see, after reading it, if she ever hears that any of her child wants to be a soldier, she will take the child for rehabilitation, something like that. But I think it's something we discussed in much later time. Someone had a question. Inyebong and Izora had a question. So Inyebong, you can go ahead and speak. Izora first. I think let me be sure. Yeah, Izora, go ahead and speak. And please, I don't know if that's how to pronounce Izora or Izora.
Okay, good evening. It's actually Izora, not Izora. So you got it right. Good evening. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I actually have a question. And the question is, I think it what's that man's name? Something I knew, the one that was in prison. I think it was because of his advocate or his writing against the government and all that kind of put him into that trouble. And not really because of his friend to go and all that. So my question here is, from the comment of Mr. James, Abisa James, if silence allow injustice to continue, and then most of these accidents often leads to personal harm or destruction, just like people remember what happened during that Lekki Toge stuff. So it's still part of this. Now, if it leads to personal harms or probably harms to the individuals, what safe and effective strategies can young people use to pursue their reformed, then release them and all that? Now, in a country where we face this kind of situation, which other way or what can we do? Chance or neglect the expression is keeps on getting worse, and when we react out of the next strategy or what they think as an individual that we can implement to get ourselves, it might not really be a fast or something that won't maybe gradually it will work out. Just need
They take social media now and walk on the street. You can be arrested for retail. You can even be shot. So I'm not mentioning. We know what happened in 2020. 2020. So our only weapon now is social media. And even on social media, it has though it's not that effective. But I think I remember the time where Senator Natasha was stopped in an airport in certain airports like that. Her ID was seized from her from traveling, something like that. I don't know if you remember that. It was trending one time. She had to go live on IG to complain, and this is a senator, for crying out loud. So if a senator is powerless before the very government that elected her, you understand? So the only thing, I think she resorted to social media, Instagram Live. You understand? So that's the thing we have on social media. We can just call out drag, but I don't advise you to carry placards. Neither do I advise you to write direct. If you have the willpower, if you like Fela or Kentariwa, you can go ahead. Like the Brown said. So that's what I think. Social. If anybody else has something to say, in Ibra, you can go ahead.
Okay, okay. Somebody else wants to say something. I think social media is quite okay. Okay, let's just look at this. During the Christian genocide, where a lot of people were kind of raising alarm on the Christian genocide, mostly the northern part and all that. I think it was through social media that Donald Trump decided to come through for us, or should I say for the Christians. That was last year Christmas and earlier this year January. So social media, sometimes when I watch this social media either on Twitter or TikTok, I see most people make comment like, you guys always lament here on social media but you don't do anything. I mean, they sometimes they talk about protests, they talk about meetings, they talk about doing some certain things. At the end of the day, you find out that people only have power to talk on social media. They don't just carry out when it's necessary to carry out the actions to perform whatever it is that they've talked about or planned on. So social media, but I don't think it's really that much effective. Yeah, it's quite effective, but not that much from my own perspective, though.
Thank you, Zora. I think we've already overshot our time. We're supposed to end by 10, but we are 5 minutes late. So I'll just hear from Inni Brown, then Nebong, and we'll call it a night. We can continue the conversation on the WhatsApp chat group. So Inni Brown, let me hear from you.
Okay. To answer the question, there's a statement you made asking the question that I just want to address. What safe strategy? That's what I want to address. This is the reality of the situation. When I said what I was saying before, like Inni for president, I didn't say for any of that. I'm just trying to get us to understand the reality of the situation. Okay. The fact of the matter is that this situation that Nigeria is going through is not new. And to solve it, the harsh truth we all have to just recognize is, one, there is no safe strategy. For us to actually solve it, it's going to require a collective self-sacrifice. That's what it's going to require. So at some point, we are going to have to get tired enough, frustrated enough that we're like, if I die, I die. But for this cause, we fight for it. I think the only thing that is like peculiar to Nigeria is that, okay, that backstabbing thing that I forgot who was the person that mentioned, the person that spoke after me. That's the one thing that is peculiar to Nigeria, where we say we're doing something, at some point you see what's going in the charts and do his own thing. That's like the one problem. But otherwise, on the whole, internationally, when countries and nations are faced with this issue, the solution is very straightforward. It's going to require self-sacrifice and going to require us going against odds that are always against us. But it has shown through history to succeed eventually, but it's going to cost a lot of lives. So that's just the unfortunate part of it. But there's hope. There's hope. The hope is that other people have done it and they've succeeded. That's just the hope. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you very much, Inni Brown. Thank you. And your boy can go ahead and speak, and then we'll call you the night.
Okay, thank you, Nabas. And Minnie Brown, I was the one that spoke after you that made that comment. Anyways, I wanted to ask a question because I noticed no one really talked about Doye as a character in itself, and I don't know why, because I found Doye really interesting. He was an inquisitive and smart man smart boy that had a lot of, he had potential, but he grew up in an abusive environment. My question is in relation to his activism. What happens when activism doesn't benefit your community? That's one question. And then the other question is, where did all the money that he collected? Because he collected millions. And in that time, that was like 2000s. Having millions is like having billions now. Why didn't he use that money to benefit his community? Those are my questions. So if anyone could answer that, maybe not here, but in the group chats, I would really appreciate, because no one really talked about the year and his atrocities. Thank you.
Yeah, I think there were scenes where he distributed money, he would walk around, something like that. But for the sake of time, we'll just continue that in the chat box. Already 9 minutes past 10. So if you have anything to say with the question she asked, you can type out the question again in the chat groups and then we'll respond. Thank you so much. I'm just trying not to shoot that time. That's all. Thank you very much for a wonderful review. Thank you for your inputs. To those that are done reading, I really appreciate it. To those that are still reading, please kindly finish before Sunday. And if you're done reading the book, please indicate in the post so we can track how many more people we need to follow up on. I really appreciate it. Do have a lovely evening. Good night, everyone.
Don't forget to hit the follow button and tap on the notification icon to stay updated. That's all for today's episode. To join our book club or stay updated on future discussions, follow us on Instagram and X at Jollof Book Club, Jollof with a double F. And thank you so much for listening.